Deputy Presiding Officer, I'd like to thank the committee, the petitioners and all those campaigners from right the way across mid-Wales and those people who are going to be affected by these changes. Let's not go around the bush. Powys has become a health desert. We have a county with no district general hospital, no A&E departments, and minor injury units operating with limited hours, and ambulance consistently dragged out of our communities to cover shortages elsewhere in Wales. As a direct result, people I know in my constituency and across mid-Wales have lost their lives, and this has caused deep trauma for their families. Against this backdrop, the decision to close the Welshpool Air Ambulance base is not only irresponsible, it is dangerous. Response times are already unacceptable and will only get worse. Communities across mid and northwest Wales will experience slower emergency interventions, yet the Cabinet Secretary continues to offer reassurances that simply do not reflect the lived experiences of people we represent. While the judicial review confirmed the legality of the JCC process, legality does not equal morality or clinical sense. The courts do not rule on whether this decision was safe, fair, or justified for rural Wales. That responsibility lies with us here in the Senedd. The proposal to replace the lost air assets with so-called mitigation measures, rapid response vehicles located around mid-Wales, is wholly inadequate. Even worse, these vehicles do not even exist yet. There are no final plans, no costings, no procurement, and no deployment timetables. The JCC was required to present the detailed plans by September of last year. They did not. Nothing has been delivered. Meanwhile, the government insists this is an operational matter, while acknowledging that the decision reflects the Welsh Government's policy expectations. The public, I believe, deserve clarity. And if ministers here are washing their hands of this matter and will not intervene to prevent the closure of these bases across Wales, then they must, at the very least, guarantee that the promised emergency road vehicles are fully operational, fully staffed, fully equipped, and generally capable of replacing what is being taken away to serve urban populations. Without this guarantee, rural Wales faces an unacceptable patient safety vacuum. The Cabinet Secretary references to improved amber category response times in Powys, but they do nothing to change the fact that a man in my constituency waited hours for an ambulance only to die of a heart attack. That is not acceptable. We cannot discuss theoretical future improvements here while rural residents face real immediate danger. And while we hear the talk of rounded proposals, including nighttime capabilities in North Wales, none of that protects the farmers in my constituency, the walkers on the Elan Valley, or those drivers on the A470 who might have an accident. The people of Mid Wales and North West Wales are being treated as an afterthought. They deserve the same access to emergency care as those living along the A55 or below the M4 corridor. Retaining the Welshpool Air Ambulance base and the one in Carnarvon is not an operational matter. It is an essential safeguard for the people living across rural Wales. Losing it would not only be a redistribution of resources, it would be the abandonment of this government of people living in our rural communities. Therefore, I call for a firm and unequivocal retention of those air ambulance bases across our communities, backed by a guarantee that no steps will be taken to weaken or remove this service. And alongside this, I agree with the petitioners that we need a full, independent public inquiry into the data, the governance failures, and the lack of transparency and the regional inequalities embedded in this process. That golden hour, the one we all talk about, cannot be a privilege just for those people who live in urban areas. It must be a right for everybody, right the way across Wales, no matter where they live. People pay their taxes. They give to these charities. They give their money because they want a service. And we deserve to have that service in rural Wales. We should not be yet again pushed aside for the urban centres. And I ask the Cabinet Secretary, and I implore with him, do all that you can to keep those ambulance bases in our communities, because losing them will be detrimental to the future of our country and detrimental to the health of the people who live in those areas.
Mabra Gwynfor.